All right, and we are live. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the new episode of Global Citizens. This is actually the last episode for the year 2019, as we are already welcoming a new decade to 2020. Wow, it's really fast. All right, so my guest for today is somebody who, okay, just a bit of the off topic a bit, yeah. This I actually always envy those of who hail from the area of Oceania, such as Australia or New Zealand. The reason is you guys have really, really cool names that make it easy when you guys want to make a company. All right. So this gentleman here is an international speaker. He's an author and he's a book publisher who has worked with over 4,000 authors, some of whom are Emmy and Golden Globe-winning actresses, and authors and singers, such as Mr. William Shatner, who, if you guys don't know, is somebody who played Captain Kirk in the original Star Trek, and even Miss Toni Charles, and so much more. This is Mr. Ocean Reeve. So, hi, Ocean. Welcome to the show.
G'day, Calvin. Nice to be here. Thank you.
You're most welcome. All right. I hope I have done justice to your introduction, but maybe you want to elaborate a little bit more on yourself.
Well, now look, you summed up the highlights pretty well. I have worked with over 4,500 authors now. It's been a busy couple of years, so I've got to update my bio. And yeah, working with some of the big names around the world, it's been a really great experience. Just as much as it is working with some of the unknowns and helping them bring the stories to life. So yeah, I continue to enjoy that process and love being a publisher. Been doing it for 19 years now. So yeah, it's been a really good journey.
Wow, 19 years. Okay, no offense, but when you first started it, I was a kid in primary one. Good God.
Thanks for that,
Wow.
mate.
Wow. You're seasoned. Yes. No,
Well, I don't know if I'd go seasoned, mate. I mean, I'm 44 years of age, and I've had the luxury of working in the entertainment industry since since about the age of 17, 18, and I mean, I'm very fortunate, and I always show gratitude to the career that I've had because, the jobs that I've worked in, been in film and television, it's been in nightclub promotion, it's been in printing and publishing. So it has been an awesome journey, but I can't really see it being 20, 25 years of being in entertainment. It's all kind of convoluted all together, and it just feels like a few days. Maybe that's a bit
yeah.
of an exaggeration, but I don't feel 44. I'll tell you that.
To help you out a bit, you do not look 44. You are as energetic. You're even more energetic than I am. I always feel. Okay,
Well,
maybe for me it's because
you,
it's in the morning.
you did say it's early in the morning where you are, and I have to say it's 10 o'clock here, so I should be a bit energetic. I've just come off a 9-day cruise as well as a bit of a break for the holidays, so I'm feeling pumped and ready to go for 2020. Let's go.
All right, all right. I myself am looking forward to 2020 because the tail end of 2019 has been really good to me. So I want to see how it can go. Yeah. All right. So, okay, for those of you who just tuned into this channel for the very first time, Global Citizens is a channel whereby I invite third culture kids, digital nomads or global nomads, however they may term themselves, expatriates, and individuals who have international experience like Ocean here. So the reason why I invited these individuals is because when you are visiting a country on a holiday, you typically will just be visiting on the tourist location spot, and you will most of the time you will definitely just see the positive, and even if you just see the negative, you will brush it aside because hey, it's vacation, right? However, when you have lived in another part of the world, you experience the positive and the negative aspect to it, and it forms the very identity. So, which is why I invited these amazing individuals in order for them to actually share their personal experiences. Yeah. All right. So, Ocean. Here's the thing. When I first start, when the beginning of the year 2018, I actually do make a decision. I wanted to write a book. I lived in Singapore for 15 years of my life. And when I come back here, I experienced a gigantic reverse culture shock. However, when I first started doing it, is because, well, I'm not sure whether I'm the only one who have ever experienced it. And well, I'm just maybe it's also because I factor in my age. I think that a lot of people might not find me too valid. So, which is why I transitioned it into, for now, it's of course my Facebook live show. So my first question to you is this, right? With writing a book, everyone is something that everybody wish at some point in their life, especially when they're older, yeah. But there are two fears that I did notice is that first is they don't know how to publish the book and whether their book is going to be a hit. So what would you actually advise before someone actually decide to start writing?
Well, let me address the first part of what you've asked there, or what you've stated there, which is about, you've obviously thought about writing a book, and you've questioned the validity of doing so,
Yep.
maybe because of your age or whatever. But I think what the reality is, especially in today's climate, is that everybody has a story to tell. Everybody's had a unique set or group of interactions or experiences that differ from everybody else's. So it's short-sighted and naive for us to walk the earth and think that we can't learn from other people and through the experiences they have. And one of the best ways to express that is through writing, is through to bring a book to life. So,
Absolutely.
yes, you're absolutely right that there is a major fear that comes with that. I often use this story of, in my career, I've had hundreds of thousands of people come to me and say they've wanted to write a book. And from that, a very small percentage has actually gone through and written anything. And from that, an even smaller percentage have gone through and finished it. And then from that, an even smaller percentage have gone through and sat in somebody's office like mine and said, hey, I want to be published. So you might look at all the books that have been out there in the world, compare that with the amount of people that actually want to write, and, there's a huge difference. I think publishing is a legacy statement. It is something that stays around for generations. Long after you and I are in the ground, Calvin, these books will still be around. They'll still be
Wow.
making an impact, and that's the
Yeah.
truth. That's the truth.
Yeah. That's true.
So when you ask the questions about that fear factor, I think how to publish, there's so many different options out there. You have trade publishing, which is like going to Penguin or Simon & Schuster or some of the big publishing houses and submitting your manuscript and crossing your fingers, hoping that they're going to love it and offer you a deal.
Yep.
There's self-publishing, where you're in total control of everything you're doing. You choose your editors, your designers, your printers, and then when it comes to marketing, it's all on you. And that's very popular, and it's become very popular over the last, say, 10, 15 years. There's partnership or hybrid publishing, where you share the costs with the publisher.
Yep.
The rights are also shared, which means the profit share is a bit more evenly distributed. And then you have what the core of my business is, which is assisted independent publishing, where you still pay for a service, but the marketing and distribution support that you get from companies like mine is much more integrated with the author. There's a lot more support there. There's a lot more accountability there, and it's a team effort rather than the sole individual. So the ways to publish have become more, there's more options there. There's more options for people. So I guess the best piece of advice is to do some due diligence. When you're looking at contacting a publisher, no matter where they sit amongst what I've just explained, try to understand if they want to know what your vision is. Okay, everybody that writes has a vision for their book. Sometimes it's a little shallow, like I want to be a bestseller, or I want to make millions of dollars. Sometimes it's more profound, where it's I want to inspire people to think differently about this certain subject. Sometimes it's just to entertain people. The vision's important, and also the accountability. What are you as a publisher going to do for me to help my book become successful? So there's a lot of questions that can be added to that, but those are the two major ones. And to make your book a hit, the days of becoming a automatic bestseller are done. And when you look at the definition of what a bestseller is now, you'd be surprised to know that the actual stats they use are only specific to that particular channel. For example, New York Times, they only take so much data from so many sources to evaluate what they call a bestseller, not from every source. So is it a bestseller? I mean, yes, it is a very top-selling book, but it's very difficult to determine that now. I know that it's 30,000 copies sold in America within the first 2 weeks of release constitutes a bestseller. But then you've got Amazon bestsellers, and there's algorithms behind that process that are not honest and they're not legitimate. So, what is a hit? Define publishing success to me. Every author's got a different definition of it. I want to make my money back. I want to become a speaker. I had one guy in Singapore a few weeks ago. I want to be the Simon Sinek of Australasia.
Wow.
That was his goal. That's his mission. And I went, I love that. That's unique. I've never heard that before. And that's something to strive for. So that's his definition of making his book a hit. So it's different for everybody, Calvin. It really is. And we need to have that discussion every time we speak to a new author to help determine what that may be.
All right. Okay, so with almost 2 decades of your experience as a publisher, yeah, how do you focus on manage working with every single different author's objective, and what core values have you kept in place in order to deliver what they wanted? Because this is something that I just read from one of William Shatner's autobiography. Sorry, because he's the most famous name that I know of amongst all of the most notable ones. Sorry, and from what I know is that he is somebody who dislike people actually mentioning about his Star Trek fame. He wants people to recognize him for who he is. So, do you definitely have work with over 4,000 people within your publishing company? Every one of them have a different characteristic, and all of them have a different objective. Yeah. So, what core value have you yourself put in place with your publishing company to ensure that you stick to who you are, but you deliver what they want?
Oh, mate, you know what? That's one of the best questions I've ever been asked. And it's something,
Thank
it
you.
is. I've done a lot of podcast interviews and media interviews before, but I've never been asked that. And I like that because it comes into play so often when we're actually working with our authors. And the answer to the question is authenticity, integrity, and honesty. I mean, I wear a Superman t-shirt every day. I don't think I'm Superman. You know, I certainly don't think I can run faster than a speeding bullet or anything like that. But the values within the superhero concept is hope, belief, faith, and community. And every one of the team at Ocean Reeve Publishing has adopted a superhero. We've got Flash, we've got Gamora, we've got Hulk, we've got Thor, and we all want to portray those values to our authors and create superhero authors that can then go on and also act with authenticity, integrity, and honesty in their marketing of their book. So, you know, I have to say direct communication is absolutely paramount. I do not hide my thoughts, my emotions, or my desire to produce quality publications to our authors. We challenge them. We often have debates and disagreements during this process, but that is healthy because it is honest. It is on the table. We don't paint false pictures of what, you know, I don't tell authors, I'm going to make you a bestseller. You know, I don't tell them that. I tell them the truth, that it's going to take some work, and I'm keen to work with you to make that happen. And, you know, you just got to be honest. It's the biggest thing. You know, William Shatner's statement about not being solely recognized for Star Trek is very true, because he isn't just Captain Kirk. You know, he's a very profound actor. He's won awards in other areas of his acting, such as Boston Legal, which is a great show, by the way. So, you know, he is known for more. He's an author. He's an activist. He's a country boy. He loves riding horses, you know. I think what I want people to know about how this company operates, and especially who I am as a person, is that I'm only going to say the truth. I'm only going to tell you what I feel, and my expertise is the right thing for you as an author in your book. I'm good at what I do, and I know a lot about what I do, but I'm very honest to tell you the things I don't know anything about and that I need help with. And I think that's a good way to live life and practice business. The other thing to answer that question is creative leadership. I have worked for other publishers in my life, and I've worked in obviously in other areas in entertainment. And most leaders and most management run an authoritative leadership process where they tell you what to do, and they don't really lead. They just tell you, and then you've got to go and do it. I like the idea of having a leader that shows you the way, that walks the way, that, you know, takes the hits with you, that can sit at a boardroom and not sit at the head of the table and move around and be in other places. Somebody that can lead creatively. And I stopped working for other companies and opened my business because I got sick of that authoritative approach, and I felt that a creative leadership approach would be more beneficial to the business, to me, to them, and obviously to my clients. And if the company's growth is anything to go by, it certainly is true. So I guess those are the values and morals that I live by.
First off, let me give you a round of applause, my friend.
Oh, sure. Thank you.
The reason being is that modus operandi that you're using is something that I feel is much more relatable to a millennial generation because you encourage the individual to be who they are instead of just enforcing a certain ideal. So that is really amazing for me to hear that you're actually executing this process. Yeah. Okay.
My number one and business partner is actually a millennial that I met 2 years ago, and he also taught me a lot. And that creative leadership process is something that he runs the team by. You know, he's the Flash, and he's fantastic what he does. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, I think I
I
saw.
appreciate
I
that.
thought I saw him. I thought I saw him in your company website.
Yeah, he'd be
Yeah.
there.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. All right. So, allow me to. I want to dive in a little bit more with regards to your venture itself. Yeah, your
Okay.
publishing company, which is bears your namesake. How do you do it differently than any other tradition? Earlier, you mentioned on the difference between traditional publishing and self-publishing. Yeah. So, why is traditional publishing? Would you feel could be still more preferable to self-publishing and how does your publishing company differs from any publishers? Because you guys are the number one independent publishing company in Australia.
Yeah, we are. And okay, look, traditional publishing's taken a hit, and over the last 20 years, well, maybe a bit longer, since the internet came in the early 90s and really did some damage to the film and television industry and to the music industry. We all know it. Downloads have killed it. Netflix, Stan, everybody had to adapt. So, excuse me. So the music,
It's
much the
funny you say
same.
that. I just finished watching The Mandalorian just now on
Disney
some,
Plus.
yeah, just now, but not on Disney Plus. All right.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? You downloaded it?
Uh, Not really, but
No, we
I
won't talk about that, shall
tolerated
we,
it. All
Tony?
right. All right. Yeah. Yeah. All right. All right. Carry on
But
then.
it also had an effect, and we saw this. I was in New Zealand at the time, and we saw this also having an effect on the publishing industry. And I felt, and I still do feel, that the big publishers of the world didn't really look at the impact the internet was going to have to be as profound as it actually was. So they continued their same model into this internet era, and then
Yep.
when it really took off, they were a bit behind the eight ball and have obviously taken a hit. We've seen bookshops close down globally. We've seen distributors close down globally. We've seen publishing houses close down globally and having to reshape how they publish and market their material to fit this new generation that we're creating information in. So, do I think traditional publishing is still the preferred option? Maybe not. I think that the royalties and the rights and the control that is given away by the authors when they sign these contracts has become even less attractive than it was 25, 30 years ago. So you've got a lot of authors who want to self-publish or work with an assisted independent publishing house so they can maintain that control and maintain that larger profit share. The advantage trade publishing does have is that they do have strong connections with the media and with the trade bookshops. So when a new book comes out, you'll see it swamped all over the shelves and all over the news because they have those connections already established. Whereas other smaller and varying publishing houses with different options don't have as stronger connections. So it's a bit harder to crack that market like the trade guys do. So without a doubt, there's still a place for traditional publishing.
Yep.
In fact, we've taken one author on in a traditional publishing sense in 2019. So, and we're going to continue doing that 2 a year. So we still feel that it's valid. What makes us different is that control, that voice, the author's voice. We don't change it. We definitely bring in our trained, qualified editors to tweak it and to revise it to make it short, to make sure it's more readable and that the information can be more engaging for the reader. We definitely do that, but we don't change their voice. The overall control of the book and its destiny is still primarily in the hands of the author. So unlike trade publishing where they sign their publishing rights away, we don't do that. So we want the authors to benefit from their own creativity. We don't want to have be the sole
You don't want to
beneficiaries
change
of
the
that.
root of the very core of the ideals. Yeah.
No, not really, because I didn't create it, mate. I wasn't the guy that sat down for 6 months or a year or longer and wrote that story or wrote that information. So just because I may know how to publish and market a book doesn't mean I should really benefit from it. That's how I look at it. In saying that, bringing a book to life in whatever option you choose, even in trade publishing, you need to be able to market. Authors need to know how to promote their work. And today, in the traditional publishing climate, they will market an author's book for anywhere between 1 month and 3 months. And unless it cracks that 0.01% and becomes the next bestseller, they have to stop and move on. So the marketing then falls on the author completely. And if they don't know what to do, they're kind of lost at sea a little bit. So what makes us different is that we have a mentorship program that either myself or another one of the team will take that author through over a period of 9 sessions that go for about an hour and a half, 2 hours each. And actually, it's a bit more than that because we always add a bit more. Yeah. And we show the author everything to build their foundation, to go out and launch their book, to promote it in their local area, to promote it digitally, and then globally. Then we show them how they can turn being an author into a career and actually earn a considerable income, an annual income off being an author. So that's what makes us different, is that we offer that particular set of support and skills for authors to succeed with their books. No other company does that. And it's a shame. It's a commitment. I'll tell you now, we'd have what, maybe 12 to 15 authors to mentor each week. And I've got one today at 2:00, and it's what, the 30th of December. So you've got to commit to these guys. You've got to commit to these authors. But you know that's who we are. That's what we do. So that's the biggest thing. That's the game changer.
All right. Okay. With over 2 decades of your experience within a creative-based industry, yeah. So this is actually a phrase I've ever heard before. So when it comes to professional athletes, when the media shows them that they have to look like they're jacked up, of course, without steroids and stuff, or they are sweating and stuff, that is the best. That is the best kind of image to capture them because it shows that what they have been through. However, when you are in the creative or in media industry, you cannot show the negative side. You have to seem all glamorous, and you always have to show the positive side of it. And as a result, it causes quite a lot of frustration for different people. Yeah. So, what are the bad recommendations that you have ever heard in your career, or with regards to your professional interest, based on this statement?
When the self-publishing industry took off, there were a couple of things that happened. Number one is that there's people out there that saw this new way of bringing a book to life was going to be a profitable exercise for any organization or company to adopt. So there's been a rise of companies on a global level that offer publishing services, promise the world, and underdeliver. And in some cases, the quality of the books that come to the author at the end of it, if books even arrive, because there are publishers out there that don't even fulfill their obligations, they're substandard and they can't actually be sold. When I stepped into self-publishing, which was in the early to mid-2000s, I have been bailing authors out of some of these companies since then, and I've continued to even this year. That, to me, is the worst form of integrity you could ever come across, where people promise to do something, you pay them money, and they don't do it, or they do it to such a substandard level that author's devastated. So that would be one thing. The vulnerability that comes with giving somebody like me a manuscript, a story, education, insight, whatever you've done, that vulnerability is very real. And, you know, a lot of authors are hobby writers. They don't even want to make a career. They just want to tell a story. So that trust that they put into the publishing house is huge. And I feel that there's a lot of self-publishers out there that just don't care, that just don't even bother to wonder, who is this person? What is their vision? What are they trying to do? Why did they write it? And how can I help them so that they feel so happy at the end of this? So that rise of the self-publishing scammer is very, very large, and it continues to be a large influencer. Thankfully, there's a lot of other people out there that don't operate like that, us being one of them, and we're quite vocal about that. We're quite vocal about the scammers that are out there and warning authors to stay away from some companies and giving them links and resources to go and do more diligence. The other thing too that is negative is somebody will go through a self-publishing process.
Yep.
They will get their book and they'll go, oh, that was easy. And then they'll start a publishing house. And then they start offering that publishing services to other people. That also is a mistake, because I don't feel just because you've gone through a publishing process with your own book, that makes you a publisher. Trust me. I mean, I could not do what I've done if I hadn't have worked for trade publishing, educational publishing, hybrid publishing, learning everything I learned from my bosses, from my superiors, and now getting to the point that I'm at now, where I'm still learning. I'm still learning from my team, from the authors, from what the latest trends are. And I'm certainly very good at. We're very good at what we do, but we're not the best in the world. I don't know if you could ever say that you are, because it's always changing. You always got to evolve and develop. So I think that is going back. That's another negative, when an author thinks that they can actually become a publisher. That to me is a mistake, and something to be wary of.
Main objective, everybody here, please learn your craft and keep improving your craft. And where to say, Ocean?
Look, do your due diligence, mate. Look at those companies. Go to organisations in your country, like there's publishers associations, there's author alliance companies. There's a lot of companies in each country that will actually show you where these other organisations sit. And hey, look, if anybody wants to reach out to me after they've watched this interview with you, Kelvin, they can hit me on Facebook or on Twitter or on email, and I'm happy to give them those resources and links so they can go and have a look.
Okay. So, of course, if you reach out to Ocean, please highlight that you know him from me, because this is to respect his privacy also, because I think anybody would feel a bit odd up if you are just somebody who reach out, especially in today's society. Yeah.
I will say that, yep, please tell me that you heard about me through Kelvin. If for nothing else, for me to say thank you to Kelvin.
All right. Okay, Ocean. So I actually want to dip a little bit more with regards to how your background could have affected you there. So you are actually from New Plymouth, New Zealand, right? Originally?
New Plymouth, yep, that's right.
Yep. All right. How do you feel that an intercultural or diverse individual within an office environment helps to stimulate creativity? And how do you think this actually benefits more in today's working world? Because, like, I believe, just as what you mentioned with regards to how older publishers still works, older companies will still utilize an older method. It's because people are attuned to familiarity and something that you tend to have the mindset of, this is how we do it, how we've always been doing it. However, with the way the digital media is now affecting the current economy and even how it is affecting the world now, how do you feel the diversity within a team actually helps with regards to your business?
Okay. Well, to precursor that, yeah, looking back at where I came from, I came from a city of about 60,000 people at the time, or 70,000 people, and predominantly in New Zealand, especially where I came from in New Plymouth, which is in the central part of the North Island, you didn't have a lot of diversity in culture. So we definitely had some. There was some overseas people living there, but not a lot. So I wasn't exposed to any other cultures or diversity other than the Māori people at home, which is our indigenous culture, until I came to Australia. And that was a wake-up call for me. It was a serious wake-up call. So to be introduced to the certain parts of the Asian culture, of a Middle Eastern culture, Indian culture, and even the Australian way of doing things, as close as New Zealand and Australia may be geographically, there's still quite a few things that are massively different. and how we are with each other and within our organizations. And even in customer service, that was huge for me, the differences there. So then coming over to Australia and seeing what was available to us in regards to teams and dynamics and integrations with different cultural identities and cultural way of doing things was such a great opportunity for me. And working with authors that came from that space and opening myself up to a global picture of authors, which is obviously now where I'm at, that has been, to me, one of the best learning curves in my professional career. I think it's absolutely essential that we learn, understand, discuss, respect, and integrate ourselves into these other opportunities with different cultures and different dynamics. And when it comes to a professional aspect, I think it's prudent that the company is ever open to allowing new conscious culture developments within their organization to grow. And I'm certainly open to it. As a manager, as a CEO, my team know that any new initiatives or ideas or concepts or processes that they want to talk about can be put on the table, and I will openly discuss it and take on board what they want. So regardless of where in the world they come from or what background or what culture they've devised from, it's all of great benefit. And the more difference in opinion that you have, the better the result.
All right. First off, hi to all those who just tuned in or have tuned in. So first off, let me give a special shout out to Mr. Ivan Rianto Gunawan. He's actually a family friend of mine. Thanks for tuning in. And Miss Sonia Anita. So Sonia is actually a speaker here in Indonesia, and she is now gaining some steam. So she wished us good morning. Hi, good morning, Sonia. How are you?
Hello, Sonia.
All right. All right. So Ocean. So now my question will more on the methods. Yeah. So earlier you mentioned on how you need to ingratiate yourself within a new environment. Yeah. Do you actually have any resources for it, especially from your time back then? Did you purchase any books, videos that has positively impacted you or helps you to ingratiate yourself better to Australia's region?
Yeah, look, hundreds, and I had the advantage of working in several publishing houses, so I got my hands on a lot of books that could benefit me, and I even took some away on my cruise that was of great benefit to me. Look, I have to stand by what I teach my authors. The best book in the world has to be the book that you publish, has to be the one that you're the proudest of, the book that you've written, that you've brought out, and that you've done well with. That's my latest book, called Inspire Your Fire, Creative Innovation Through Authorship. Now, the reason why I love this book so much is because I have told my story there. There's a background, I have a history like everybody. It's probably not what everybody expects when they hear that I'm a CEO of my own publishing house, but it's the lessons I've learned to grow into the man that I've become, the father that I've become, and the husband that I've become, and hopefully the boss that I've become and the CEO I've become. So that my history is there in this book. The understanding of how to write and the different methods on how to write, that's there. And that's come from the 2 decades of me working in this industry. Anybody that says you have to write your book like this, has to be done this way, that's absolute crap. Everybody has a different writing style, and you need mentors and editors, and you need those people to help refine it. But you've got to write to your true self, Otherwise, you're writing like everybody else, and you're going to be getting the same result. So I talk a lot about the different writing styles I've got in there. I talk about the publishing process and what to expect, both in my company and also in others, and marketing. I speak a lot about marketing. But the best part about this book, what I love the most about this book, is I wrote it on a cruise ship, because I love cruising. I wrote it on a cruise ship, 70,000 words. I wrote it on a Christmas cruise within about 8 days. I just went to town. And as I was writing, I was listening to my playlist on my computer. So I realized after about 3 or 4 songs that what I was writing about actually connected with the piece of music that I listen to. So I've written these little pullouts here.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that one's
Oh,
Kid Rock All
Kid Rock,
Summer
all
Long.
summer long.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're scattered throughout the book, and I've compiled a playlist at the end of the book because the whole book's been written to music. So this
Okay.
book continues to inspire me, and the whole point of this book is to inspire the fire and you and everybody else that may want to write it. So, yes.
Oh. Wow. Okay. Huh.
As an author, you have to say the best book that's influenced me is my own.
Hey. No, I mean, if it's right, right? I mean, what's wrong with that? No, but
Absolutely.
it makes me think that how much of is what is something that everybody would purchase or something that is considered pop culture, I guess, is based on what is being reflected. I mean, a song itself is somebody's personal reflection, and I don't know why now there's every single song has something to do with related to butts, but that's another story about that. But yeah, I mean, the classics, all of them have something that is related to personal feelings, and in fact, books or music or in fact movies, it's something to relate to that. Yeah.
Yes, creative expression, mate. And creative expression connects with every human being on the planet.
All right. All right. Okay. So I actually want to ask this is that okay, in this show, I there's no such word called failure. I call it learning opportunity. Yeah. Do you have any learning opportunity that is most vivid in your mind that helped you shape the way you are now?
Hey, look, yes, I have. I've got one very big one. It's probably been amongst a couple of my previous organisations that I've worked for. Uh, I'm a trusting individual, Calvin. I tend to lead with my heart, often before my head, with a lot of things.
Yeah.
I'm an emotion-based person. How I am made to feel is everything, and how you make another person feel is everything. So when I've started at other organisations and other companies, I've always made sure I've put it on the table of what I'd offer that company and also what I expect back. And in some cases, what I've been told to expect back never happened. And in fact, they moved the goalpost on me in such a way that made me feel very devalued, and that it hit my self confidence quite a bit back in the early days. And there was even a time soon after I came to Australia where that happened, and I questioned my continuing in the publishing industry, and I changed what I did for a while because I think I needed a break. I missed creative people. I missed authors. I didn't realize how important authors play in feeding me my lifeblood, my inspiration, and my energy. And they do inspire me so much. And the stories that I help bring to life are everything to me. And to see them then go out and speak on stage and sell thousands of copies and do what they do, and know that I had that very small part to play in that journey, that's part of my legacy. So I got back into it even though I'd been burned. So my life lesson, or my I wouldn't call it a failure either. I've been a little too trusting, and
Yeah.
through doing that, I've been burned. But I've learned from it, definitely. It hasn't stopped me leading with my heart, but it has made me bring in a support team, a crew that helps make a lot of the bigger decisions rather than just me on my own. So that I've got other opinions to help make that final call. So yeah, that would be it. Heart on the sleeve, brother.
Wear your heart on your sleeve is fine, guys. And as what Ocean has recommended, surround yourself with people who loves you, who actually knows something, who can actually offers an opposite of your mindset. Yeah, am I right to say that?
Oh, you're 1,000% right. Number one, because you got to have love for these people. Well, so my wife is by far my number one confidant and the person I go to when I have problems or issues within the business that I need guidance and ideas from. And Flash is he's a millennial. He thinks different from me. He's got another set of skills in business that I don't have. So I use those two primarily, but then I've got a team of about a team about 6 others that I will also draw from before I make some very big decisions. And and I love all of them. And hopefully they love me, even though I'm a bit crazy and left of centre. But it is so important that you have that support team there to help you. Yeah, for sure.
So those are in Ocean Reeve Publishing. If you guys watching this, your boss really loves you guys. All right, but don't use it as a leverage to
Absolutely,
get a raise.
that won't happen.
Ocean. Okay, this is actually my last question. It's a two-parter. Okay, so if you could be a youth in today's era with the knowledge that you possess at your current now, will you do things differently, or will you do it the same way when you want to convince a client or maybe a managing director or a CEO to give a chance to you? And also, right, if you manage to do enter this mindset, yeah, how would you advise? What three advices would you give to someone who is at the crossroads of their career? Because creativity is something that is inhibited within everybody. However, the thing is that let's say maybe here in Asia itself, maybe we put in my home country in Indonesia now. The country is much more subjective compared to objective. It's like when you come to an office, you have to respect a boss simply because he is the boss. Of course, that is the right way. But the thing is that everybody makes mistake, and those who tend to be in a very high position makes the easiest. It's easy for them to make a mistake the most. It's because they've done it so long. They're used to certain ways of doing stuff. So as a result, yeah, as we all know, things doesn't go your way. But the thing is that they focus on looking at the numbers. As long as the numbers goes up, they don't really care about everybody within their team. So, what would you give how would you advise this?
Okay, first off, my grandfather once gave me two pieces of advice. He fought in World War II. He was an absolute legend. And he said to me when I was probably under 12 years old, he told me two things that I've never forgotten. Number one is you never know everything. Okay, so no matter how old you get and how seasoned you get, you can never say you know it all, because you don't. You never will. And the other piece of advice is that if you want respect, you give respect. Okay, so that doesn't matter whether it's somebody that you're your employer or whichever. I think respect is a two-way street. When you go into a new place of work and you're an employee, naturally you have to show respect because they've given you an opportunity. But
Yep.
that does not mean that you can be treated like dirt or they can treat you with disrespect, okay? That only should happen when you are being disrespectful. So respect is a two-way street. You can't be treated badly and allowed to be treated badly when it's not deserved, okay?
Yep.
That's one thing I want to make abundantly clear. To go back to how the question started, is there anything that I would change from what I've learned in my life? I probably wouldn't change a thing, mate. I've made a lot of mistakes, and when people buy my book and read my book, they see what I've done in my lifetime, and they say, "Wow, okay, it's amazing you're even alive, let alone doing what you're doing." But I would not change it because everything that I've gone through in my 44 years has made me the man I am now, and I'm very proud of the man I am now. And I hope my wife and my children and my friends and my colleagues and my authors are proud of me too. I feel that I am the man I always wanted to be. I would not be that man if I hadn't have gone through those experiences and learned from them. So would I change anything? Probably not. What lessons can I give other people? Look, I've spent a lot of time in Asia. Especially in Singapore, Hong Kong, and in South Korea. I did a bit of a tour there about 18 months ago. And I could see that there was some elements of confidence and the desire to break out and be a little bit creative was very difficult for people. Yeah. What I would say to all of you there and globally is do what you love. I mean, how old are you, Cal?
I'm 26. I'm
26.
turning 27 next year.
Wow, okay, cool, man. And I tell you what, you only live once, brother. So the Kelvin that I know today, I would like to make sure, and I know you are, because you wouldn't be interviewing some crackpot like me unless you were doing what you love. You've got to do what you love. And when you put your head on the pillow every night and you're thinking about the day you've just had, that you don't have any regrets, that you're really satisfied with the input that you put out into the world, that you've created a difference for someone, that you've done something that's wonderful for you, for your family, and for other people. Do what you love and do it with authenticity. look, you may be sweeping the floor at McDonald's watching this video later and going, yeah, that's easy to say, Ocean, do what I love, but I have to still pay the bills and I still have to do what I have to do. And sweeping this floor at McDonald's is how I do that. Well, that's true. And I'm not saying quit your job right now, but I think start sweeping the floor, singing a song. Start planning that movie in your head or that book you're going to write when you get home. Start thinking about the dance class that you might go and start, because when you put yourself in a space of creative expression, singing, dancing, writing, acting, painting, whatever it is, suddenly you find your mind opens up to so many different ways of thinking. And by doing that, the universe opens up opportunities for you. And that is the only way I've created success, by following my desire and my heart to do what I love. And it's worked, bro. It's really worked. So yeah, man, do what you love. It may take some time, but that's my best piece of advice. Get a mentor. Get a mentor. I have had several, and they've been amazing. I went and had a beer with the guy that backed me when I started this business. I went and had a beer with him about 2 weeks ago and said, thank you so much. You've participated in changing my life and me helping to change others. So get a mentor, somebody you can trust. You probably might have to pay for them because they should be worthy to be paid, but get a mentor that can help you, guide you creatively, guide you in your life to live that life you want to live. And you can't expect to do it all on your own, Calvin. You've got to have a team of people around you to create an amazing life. And I'm very lucky I have that team.
I actually can attest to the one of the advice that Ocean gave, because one of the reason why I started this channel was because I was burned out, I was exhausted, and when I was living in Singapore, especially at the tail end of my life in 2018, uh, and I went back in early January. So a lot of the factor that I created this channel was because I have a lot of times whereby I have misunderstood, or maybe people do not understand me. It's because of cultural differences, because I grew up in Singapore. Now, let me tell you guys one thing is that when you come into Singapore, please don't try to speak like an American, because they will find you pretentious. Yeah, for my generation is because our only influence of English growing up was the 1990s action movie from Schwarzenegger, Stallone, and as a result, when that's how you speak, and I'm not really a big guy. I'm 5'8", but I just look big, I guess, for an Asian. As a result, when you talk that way and you look as like me, people will avoid you because they're scared of you. So yeah, that is one of the reason why I started this channel. And when I first started doing this, my first ever episode was so blurred because the camera's quality was crap. And then subsequently, however, a lot of channels opened up for me. One of my guests is in fact used me as a citation, and she is publishing her book next year on third culture kids. She's a TEDx speaker.
That's
So,
fantastic.
all right. Okay, that's actually my last question, as I said. Yeah. So, Ocean, do you have anything that you want to tell to the audience? Maybe regarding an upcoming courses, or maybe some program that you'll be doing soon?
Yeah, for sure. Well, first off, I want to thank you, Calvin. I mean, it is the holidays for most of us, and I want to thank you for offering me this opportunity to have a chat with you and doing it at this time specifically. I'm very grateful. Look, yeah, Ocean Reeve Publishing is an assisted independent publishing company. We don't take on every author. We do want to take on authors that want to create positive inspiration out in the world. So we're very mindful about the sort of books we're bringing to life. But we do have a book marketing mentorship program that has changed the lives of so many authors. And I encourage people to go to our website, oceanreevepublishing.com, and check out everything that we offer. And if you feel that now's the time that you want to express yourself creatively, we have everything from writing mentorships right through the whole gamut of bringing a book to life to even distributing it as ebook, as audio, as a physical book all around the world. So we are pretty much your one-stop shop for everything book publishing related. So we welcome authors from all around the world. We love bringing books to life. And I have this slogan that I always love saying, which is be creative, be inspired, and be published.
All right. And okay, so for now, I already gave a shout out to some of you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. So, if you also wish to express yourself creatively in another way, such as maybe you want to create a podcast like what I am doing, or you may be interested in trying to create a title card or something, you can look at the description box. So, not only is there going to be Ocean's website, all of his company's website actually. There's also a link to StreamYard, which is the software that I'm using in order to create this podcast. And there's also an app called Canva. It's really cool. It's how I created title cards, and it's really easy to use. Even though since they didn't come with the instruction, I have to use YouTube first to create it. So hope they start creating an instruction to do that. All right. And with that, that's the end of Global Citizens, episode 21, the last episode of 2019. In 2020, I hope to bring in more TCKs or individuals who have experience living abroad. So with that, I end this broadcast. So thank you so much, Ocean, for coming today, and especially since you will be having an appointment later. Yeah, so I really appreciate
It's
it.
all good. Thank you, mate.
All right, thank you, and happy New Year to everyone. Happy New Year to you, Ocean.
Happy New Year to everyone.
Bye.